So I will call Ms Patten with a question, please.
Thank you, President. My question is for the Special Minister of State. The Crown allegations aren't going away. On Monday, we had a former employee detail instances where he had witnessed illegal activity on almost a daily basis. On Tuesday, we saw footage leaked by whistleblowers within the regulator, the VCGLR itself, showing large-scale money laundering activities at Crown. Today, we have revelations of a businessman blacklisted by the United Nations and Australia because he funded a war criminal being aided by Crown into the country to gamble. I tried to force the Parliament to debate this matter and launch an inquiry to no avail. The Gaming Minister said she would investigate the claims and expected a report back in 2 weeks. That was 2 months ago. As Special Minister of State, your portfolio oversees government transparency, integrity and accountability. Given there seems to be none of these three contained in the government's response to these serious matters so far, will the Minister step in and order an inquiry into Crown himself?
Minister.
Thank you, President. I thank Ms Patten for her question and her perhaps the implied confidence that she has in my responsibility, but misdirected understanding of my responsibilities in this matter. So I will answer on my own behalf to indicate to the member that the government, of course, is concerned about these matters, and I have had a conversation with the relevant minister in relation to these circumstances and the scrutiny by which she is expecting the Liquor and Gaming Regulator, the Commissioner, to acquit their responsibilities and to consider any matters appropriately. I'm also aware of the interest in Victoria Police in relation to some of these matters. And I'm also aware of the engagement and the ongoing scrutiny of a number of federal regulatory bodies, because as you've indicated through the scope of issues that you've just identified, there are a number of border security issues, there are a number of, in a sense, immigration issues, there are a number of integrity issues that apply in the Commonwealth jurisdiction. Within those regulatory environments, there is a capacity, and I acknowledge, for appropriate scrutiny to sometimes fall between the gaps. And in fact, it's our obligation to try to make sure that they are interlocking. As I understand it, there are 4 relevant Commonwealth agencies who have jurisdiction over various circumstances described in these matters, as well as the regulatory environment in Victoria and law enforcement within Victoria. I can give the member a guarantee that within my responsibilities, I'll continue to act part of the Victorian Government in collaboration with my colleagues to ascertain the best way in which we can provide confidence to the community that these matters are considered on their merits without fear or favour, that in fact justice and the investigative pathway is fully assisted by the government in terms of making sure that our obligations to keep our community safe, to ensure that due process is followed, and that in fact there is not illegal activity that takes place within the gaming industry or any activity that's associated with it. And I will work with my colleagues in that frame. I do not have administrative responsibility to act in the way that you expect me, that you call on me in your question, but I can assure you that I and other members of the government take these matters seriously, and we will continue to scrutinise these activities and do our best to ensure that justice prevails and that appropriate remedies are put in place for any illegal activity.
Ms Patten on a supplementary.
Thank you, Minister, for the response. And I really think you undersell yourself here in this. But by way of supplementary, and I think community confidence comes to the nub of this. And you speak to the community, and they're not surprised. They just go, well, that's just how it is. The place is corrupt, and the government does nothing. So we've had review after review by the casino regulator, whose ability to do the job is under serious question right now. And they've recommended reforms that Crown has simply ignored. For instance, the use of player data analytics in support of intervention, which remains in a trial state 5 years after the regulator's 5th review and a full decade after it was first raised. Crown treats the government and the regulator, I think, as chumps. In light of these serious allegations currently swirling around Crown, will the minister hold Crown, who are licensed to operate by the Victorian Government, to investigate with his colleagues why these recommendations from the government's independent regulator have never been followed up?
Minister.
President, I don't think there is any politician in this jurisdiction, across the nation, across the world, that undersells themselves. So I'll like to start from that basis. But in terms of my formal responsibility, I think I've reminded you and the chamber of what my responsibilities may be. In terms of my concern about these matters and the government's concern about these matters, I reiterate that we are concerned about these issues. I will talk to my colleague and other parts of government in relation to the way in which we can provide that confidence into the future and to be seen to follow the due process of investigation and regulatory compliance. And that's the best I can offer you at this point in time.